At Otiwhiti Station near Hunterville, school leavers with a passion for farming acquire practical skills alongside book learning. Students spend a year living at Otiwhiti, then a year working on local farms, completing levels 3 and 4 of a New Zealand certificate in agriculture.
This place is a commercial farm with an overlay of training inside it. The reasons for us going down that track were that we were employing young single shepherds and we were teaching them the practical skills that we needed to be employed, and by the time we'd finished teaching them those skills, they'd then move on to other employment. So we were paying them, investing in them, and then they were leaving us. So we sort of saw that there was a bit of a need to put some training around our business so that we could employ the right people in our business with the right skills. We needed them to be able to work a dog, ride a horse, fence, shear competently, and be able to kill and butcher a sheep. So they were our sort of 5 pillar things that we work on outside of the theory training that's done by land-based training, which is the New Zealand Certificate Level 3. So there's a whole lot of other stuff, you know, that we just take for granted that's rolled into the theory side of it. But we just work really hard on making sure that the practical skills are achieved to a level that we think is satisfactory for employment. I consider Smedley, Waipawa and Otiwhiti similar properties. There's institutional training outside of that. What we are is we're small, we're niche. The students can't get through us without us knowing where their skill-based level is. You know, we've got 11 kids this year. We've got pretty much 1 to 3 management staff managing those kids. We take them out into a real work environment and we teach them the skills, and it's learned by doing, and we do heaps of it. So what we basically found was that yes, the skills are being covered in the practical side of the theory, but they're just not giving them enough of it for them to remember it, or in our case, they're not giving them enough of it to make them competent at it. So the station here is 2,000 hectares. That's 1,700 effective hectares. We have 12,000 ewes, 3,000 hoggets on Otiwhiti, and then we have 3 other blocks that have managers on that are part of our business. And so in order so that we don't end up with a concentration in one place, we basically have a rule that we want 1 staff member to 3 students. We put them out in amongst our staff in our business where they're learning and training together. With 3 to 1, we manage to get productivity and training without it being too much of a hindrance. We had a community with no young people in it. By starting the cadet school, we thought, well, at least we've got 12 guys, they're here for 1 year, we have a really good community, so we can show them the value of a community, because we believe also that in time there'll be more absentee landowners, so it's important that these kids understand the role of a very healthy community. We've now got this labour force, our dog trials, our horse sports, our school's closed unfortunately, but we still have fundraisers for our hall. And you know, we've got these guys and they're there and they're a labour force and they get in and they muck behind these activities and make them successful. On top of that, young people breed young people in the communities. So our community here, there's 8 of our students from last year, there's 11 students this year, there's about 5 or 6 from previous years still floating around this community, working in the community. So, you know, young people breed young people want to be in this community now. The success for us is our students being employed. And just shy of 100% of our students since the day we started have been employed. And to me, that's the measure of success.
Land-based training is a partner in Otiwhiti with the Duncan Land Company. Land-based training provides the education, the tutors, NZQA, TEC requirements, meeting the compliance of that. The New Zealand Certificate in Agriculture Level 3 is what we teach the students, but we also teach a lot of things that aren't in that qualification, such as dogs, horses, shearing, which we see as key skills that students need to get into employment. We're taking kids from throughout New Zealand, so we've had as high as Whangarei and down to Nelson. We have had students from pretty much every part of the North Island. Generally, they're coming from school and have finished year 13. We have a mix of farm kids and town kids. This year, 7 that come from town and 4 that come from farms. About 20% of the students coming through here would be female, and we've had a number of the girls that have been our top students and have applied themselves to the course. We select for attitude and teach skills, and we look for kids that we think can be taught and kids that want to be in the agricultural industry. We don't necessarily take the high achievers for school, but if their school report shows that they have been keen and contributed to team sports and been captains of rugby teams, that's a plus from our point of view.
This one's good.
The New Zealand Certificate in Agriculture Level 3 is what they walk away with at the end of the year. But on top of that, they'll have a lot of other skills in sharing courses. They'll walk away from here with 1 or 2 dogs that are ready to go with them to employment, which makes them far more employable than not having any dogs and looking for their first opportunity on farm. It's a not-for-profit charitable company, and all the education money from government goes into the pot, and all the income gets used from fees, board and tuition for running the business. For a student to come to Otiwhiti, the cost for them is for a year around $15,000. They are able to get that through their student loans and allowances.
The management staff that work with the students and Lloyd Smith, who comes twice a year to help with the dog training, they're all very passionate about dog trials. From my perspective, these kids want to have a job at the end of the year. They need to have 2 working dogs. They need to know how to break in a dog because buying them is not an option. They need to be able to learn to grow their equity by buying a dog or pup and then training it and having it in their team. And 2 working dogs at the end of the year is what they need, a hunter-away and a heading dog, in order to go into a business, in my opinion, to be useful.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.